Hi there, and welcome to my video essay. My name is Mirna, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Windtales. Windtales is a serious game, but it looks a lot like an entertainment game. It's a simple platformer where the main thing you do is just jumping and collecting coins. Though it's everything but just a normal platformer. It's a game for children with cystic fibrosis, in the age of 6 to 16. And it's specially made to train the lungs. These kids need to do exercises up to 2 hours a day that are very annoying and boring to do. And often it's hard for the parents to motivate these kids to do these exercises. This game is trying to change that by making it fun to do the exercises by putting them in a platformer. And in this way, they're trying to make these exercises less annoying and easier to complete the 2 hours of exercise that these kids need to do every day. Even though this game hasn't been evaluated or properly tested yet, I think it has already proven itself when you look at the content that they're making. I cannot imagine it to be more fun to just stare at a wall and do the normal exercises, because I've looked them up and they're rather boring, and I cannot imagine doing that for 2 hours without getting bored. The game is controlled with this special controller. It's a spirometer, which is a medical device that's usually used to measure how well the lungs of a person are performing. So in this way, the child is playing with a device that it would also use in the hospital. I think this is also a reason for why it works so well. There's just no way they could design something that doesn't do exactly what the exercise does, because they would see it directly in the results of their tests when they're using this spirometer. This also makes for another advantage, and this is that therapists can actually look over the shoulder while not being there. They can look at the data that the spirometer registers while they're playing, and they can even adjust the game to the difficulty level that the kid needs to train their lungs in the best way. Even though the context is to be used at home, I can clearly see that they're making it so it can be used in the hospital as well, and that they really take into account that it's for treatment and it's not just a fun game. So for comparable games, I didn't really find anything that looked like or played like Windtales, but I did look into this new game that they're making, which is called Sparky, and it's for younger kids, so it's targeted at kids under 6, and it's pretty much just based on these small little mini games as you just saw, with just blowing the pizza because it's too hot, and it made me think about this. This is one of the games that I used to play in my childhood. It's one of the mini games from Mario Party, and the nice thing about it is that it's also using the blowing mechanic. And as you can see here, it measures how hard the player is blowing and how long. And this is exactly the same as this mini game does in the game Sparky that they're making. And I would think this as a reasonable alternative, but I guess Windtails is still better because this can only be used for, I guess, 1 or 2 breathing exercises, and it probably wouldn't be very accurate, which would make playing the platformer very annoying. And you also cannot really monitor it like as precise as with the spirometer. But if you look at the pricing on their website, you can see that a game of Windtales, including the controller and the tablet, will cost you a whopping 1,000 euros. And I think that if you can make an alternative on the DS that you could sell for the normal price of a DS game, then you would be at roughly 200 euros for the full package. So I guess you could save a lot of money by doing it that way. So for this video, I was asked to use the LMGM models, and LMGM basically means learning mechanics versus game mechanics. And the idea is to combine these mechanics together into serious game mechanics by taking the things that the kid has to learn and hiding or putting them into game mechanics. Now for this video, I will be calling these learning mechanics exercise mechanics or training mechanics, because I kind of feel that this game is not made to learn something, it is made to exercise the lungs. And in the next bit, I will be showing you the mechanics of this game. And I will first mention the game mechanic, the thing that happens in the game, and then I will mention how it's done with the controller, and this will be the exercise. And I will show you just now. So let's dive into the game. The first mechanic we see here is the very most simple mechanic that you know from platformers. It's movement. You can walk your character. This movement makes for progression, which makes for motivation to keep playing. And this is important for this game because these exercises need to be done. You cannot just quit halfway. Then there's jumping. For the jump, the kid needs to put a short push of air into the spirometer, and this will make the character jump. Of course, one jump isn't enough to make for a full exercise, but multiple jumps are. And one of the things you can do with jumping is killing an enemy. This makes for immersion, for like the feeling like I killed an enemy instead of I just did an exercise, and also makes for motivation to keep doing the jumping, which motivates the kid to keep using it. Now we get to the interesting mechanics. When the kid is underwater with the character, it has to hold its breath to get forward underwater. And this is really cool because this means that this mechanic makes for the fact that it can be adjusted by making the bit of water longer or shorter. In this way, the game can adjust to what the kid can handle, and it can be a satisfying experience to make it through that water pool. Then we get to the last most important mechanic of this game, which is flying. And flying is done by giving a long, controlled push of air into the spirometer. And this is really cool because this has the same thing as with the water. When the wall here, you see here, is higher, the kid has to blow into the device longer, which makes for a good exercise. And which makes it possible to adjust. So all these mechanics are implemented using the spirometer. And I think that's also how they're used. They're used to be exercises. Now this game has a couple of other mechanics that I didn't mention that's not in the platformer. This is a bit of an exploration bit in the world, and this is used to visualize the progression of the player. So it also motivates and immerses the kid into the game, which is very important. So as I mentioned at the start, they need to keep playing because they need to do this for 2 hours a day. So they kind of needs to stay interesting. And they collect the coins to open up levels later. So thank you for watching. This was my video on Windtales. Let me know what you thought. And if you want any extra information, if you're really excited about this game, go to windtales.net and check out their website.